Welcome to another week with the Kingdom Game Studio. I'm Chris, your humble community servant, and back again this week we have Brandon.
Hi, everybody.
Lead programmer extraordinaire.
Yep.
What's been going on this week?
This week we are wrapping up all of our changes on the newest patch that we're going to release, I think, early next week. Really trying to get it playable, bug-free as much as possible, and just trying to wrap up the better experience that we're trying to provide in this patch.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff going on. Major performance increases, fully upgraded Unity 5, revamped first 4 levels.
The front end, yeah.
All sorts of cool stuff going on. We get to show off. Maybe we'll show some of that off later. How are you feeling? Good?
I'm feeling good. It hasn't been too bad. I think we've been working on this whole upgrade patch for about 2 months now, so it's not like we have to really crunch. We've gotten to a good point where I think we're all pretty confident in the game right now.
Yeah, so why don't we pull up the game and we'll show off some of this cool stuff in the intro levels. This is highly technical stuff. Right.
All right.
Yeah, so what better place to start than the beginning?
This mouse is kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a weird setup.
Sorry.
I do that specifically to see if you can.
If I can still game?
Yeah, if you can
right.
work around challenges.
I think I got this.
But I mean, you can even see here like completely different lighting effects and.
Yeah, Art did a lot of things. They did a whole lighting atmosphere fog pass. Part of what we did too was upgrade to Unity 5, so it provided a lot of new tools and features. But you can even see, the frame rate is way better right now.
It's doubled in some areas.
Mm-hmm. And I actually like it. We removed some camera effects, like around the edges. I think they looked cool, but we're kind of taking away from the detail. And so I know a lot of what was done too was just improving this beginning experience.
You're kind of streamlining it, kind of tweaking the encounters so it felt more direct. A lot of players had said like, "Hey, we're killing lots of wolves." There's a lot of changes there, and I mean, look at the foliage. I mean, it just really looks phenomenal now. I mean, it's really impressive.
Oh, get on home, sheep.
Yes. So, when we go from Unity 4 to Unity 5, what does that look like on the back end? Is that...
There's quite a bit of changes. We were using Unity version 4.6, and Unity 5 has been out for a while. From the version we were using to the version we're using now, I would say at least like 1.5 years of Unity development time. So there's a lot of bugs they've fixed, a lot of performance improvements. Unity 5 is a major version upgrade, so they reworked shaders, for instance, and all of our shaders are a lot more efficient now and cool. And I just wanted to note, you can see these cool VFX that we've added on attacks. Shout out to my art buddies.
That's awesome. I know there was some like pink placeholder art bugs that were kind of cool looking. Like, was that pretty much the extent of stuff that broke when it migrated or ported?
Well, so the process first involved one of our engineers going through, and we take the project from Unity 4, open it in Unity 5, and it just doesn't work at all. So an engineer has to, Aaron actually went and spent probably 2 weeks just upgrading all of our plugins, fixing compiler errors, a whole bunch of back-end stuff before it was even worth having QA look at or have bugs being addressed. Like, if you can't play the game at all.
Right, granted.
Yeah, I'll skip these caches. And then after that, a lot of that was Unity 5 has shaders a little bit differently, and we have a lot of custom shaders that we use for see-through effects, other camera image effects, burning tents, all over the place, and essentially they were broken, and we had to write new shaders, or a lot of times look out on the asset store and just find shaders that work.
All right, so what is a shader?
What is a shader? It is what on any object, it's represented by verts and triangles, and for a 3D object that would just create the mesh, but then you have a texture, and that's what gives it the colors and all of that unique look, and that's fine, but then you need to actually turn it into material because it needs to interact with lighting and like reflection, any of those. If there's going to have fog, it needs to be able to handle all of that input. So shader, it actually talks to the hardware. That's what like takes the triangles and the vertices and the textures and like tells the hardware how to draw like each pixel, each vertex essentially. And I am by no means a shader expert. We actually have some really nice tools that allow our artists to make shaders. So some of our artists maybe know more about shaders than I do.
I'll have to tweak into them. I found myself using it, and I didn't actually think I knew what it was. I was similar
I'll
to
play
how you described is what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But I wasn't actually sure. So is shader code, or is it coloring? I mean,
it uses what's called, I think, HLSL, high level shader language, and it's its own. It has its own syntax, but essentially it is represented in, I guess, a code form using HLSL. You're gonna break it down into the verts and how they're affected by light, depending on normals and all sorts of big words and
fun stuff.
Yeah. I'm gonna go fight the lion.
Now, why does the performance boost when we upgrade? Is that shader changes, or I haven't seen the snow effect actually.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
It looks pretty good.
That's great.
Some of it was just from the Unity 5 upgrade, but that was only a little bit. One of the things about the shaders is we had some effects where if there was a building in front of you or a tree, we would kind of like cut out a hole so you could see yourself in the background, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know the examples of that.
And the way that Unity 4 was handling shaders, it was really expensive, and that was actually kind of killing our frame rate a little bit. And so there's also a lot of optimizations that Unity as a company has just made with their engine. Like I said, there was a long time between the engine we were using and the one they had, but sorry, I got a little distracted.
There's actually, can you show that again? So here's another upgrade to this patch, is the auto equip.
Oh yes, we fixed a number of bugs and tried to address as much fan feedback as we could. One of the ones was we kind of had an auto equip button that
just auto equip. It's like, what does that do?
So yeah, we actually split it up into offense, defense, and utility. And utility is going to be cooldowns and stamina regen, pretty much.
Great.
Like,
so
how
like
can
support
I?
Class
Yeah, kind of. Really, I think offense and defense is used the most for you want a tanky character or damage dealing character. So.
Yeah, and here's another example of how you can start farther into the cave, and it's been kind of streamlined a bit to get you that first boss fight a little bit quicker.
Mm-hmm.
You level up a little bit faster, get some skills earlier, because I know that was another thing people have brought up is, hey, where's skills? It's like, all right, we'll give you skills. You want skills.
I think also a lot of people just said this intro took a little too long.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't need to fight 50 wolves to figure out, how the game works. Like, I want to get into the cool stuff, which is having, more characters and being able to switch on the fly.
Yeah.
So.
All 5 characters, lots of skills. Like, the lighting effects in the cave are awesome.
Yeah, I like to do this right here, if you want to. Oh, no. I actually need to switch to Abishai. I forgot I was Benaiah. You can shoot that. get all those destructibles at once. Yeah.
Nice little dev trick. It's good.
Well, I think they set it up on purpose. I would assume that you could do that.
I'm not a game designer, but yeah, I would
Maybe.
expect that as well.
The Bible does not say how.
In a pit carved out of the floor.
So, what is actually taking place? Is it porting when you go from 4 to 5? Is it?
I mean, you could kind of say it's a port. It is the same engine, so we can open it up. Like, you can open up a Unity 4 project in Unity 5,
Right.
and they actually have written, if you upgrade, they have some stuff that'll try to upgrade it as best as you can. There are just changes that can't procedurally be done. So I don't know if port is the best way to explain it as much as it's just...
Fixing.
Yeah, I mean, you open it up, it's mostly the same code. You know, they've deprecated some methods. Certain variables need to be accessed a different way. We also have to upgrade all of, like, the plugins that we use. So, for instance, we have an audio plugin called Fmod that we use that's actually really popular, but it's really nice and allows audio people to mix sounds,
Right.
all sorts of stuff. I don't know what it is, but we have to upgrade all of those individual plugins to get them to work as well. I don't know. It's kind of busy work almost, and then getting into the bug fixing.
So it's kind of like you it's fixing all the little stuff, and then the bigger stuff is probably not as extreme because all the art assets, right, are like the same, right? I mean, you just import and like everything that's calling to works. It's more of a code-based issue. Or
Yeah, and then just certain assets, like I said, like all of our shaders kind of needed to be rehooked up. Use some bread.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting into this
No, you
lion
gotta
fight.
You gotta take the
I
lion
think
out.
I'm just gonna tank
You
him right
can't
now.
let the lion kill you. That was
It's
embarrassing.
yeah, it would be embarrassing.
That would be very embarrassing.
I made this game.
Yeah.
I shouldn't let it beat me.
And then another addition is the split map confusion is gone. So now
Mhm.
at the beginning of a map, saves, right?
Correct.
Auto saves at the beginning of the map. There's no more split
Yeah.
levels where it's like, hey, 22A, 22B. It's like 22A,
Uh-huh.
22B, separate auto save, functioning. All your loot saved, all your things saved. You start the level, auto save, and you're good.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
before, like, kind of conceptually, story-wise, we have a few different levels that are kind of one level,
Right.
and before,
The next day.
kind of like, in a way, you need to, in a Mario level, you can't just, like, start in the middle. If you exit, you have to start from the beginning.
Right.
So we had that sort of concept of, you know, well, seeing as how these 2 or 3 levels are kind of the same level, you got to start at the beginning. But a lot of players were a little frustrated by that, so
Yeah.
we are hopefully going to alleviate some of those problems. Now get to Goliath.
Even the shadows look like the shadows in the foliage and everything. It's just so the new lighting and everything is just so different. It's great. Looks like a completely different game actually.
Oh man, yeah, and it runs a lot faster. They did make some noticeable art improvements too, not just fixes, but you know, where we could, if we've identified areas we didn't like, or you know, fans have identified things they might not have liked, we hopefully have tried to address as many as we could.
Yeah, and it definitely
Cool
shows
effects.
in a lot of places. Let's see if you just annihilate Goliath.
Yeah, apparently Goliath
Take him out.
easier than the lion.
So, is it more difficult to make code changes, or is it more difficult to implement kind of level design changes? Is that
From my standpoint, I think doing the design and making it fun and putting that together is more challenging. Maybe someone who doesn't code might be a little daunted by programming, but you know, you obviously want to write good code and you want to spend time to make sure that it works the way it's supposed to and it's not buggy. But you know, I find it pretty cool that, you know, there's people that have a talent of making a game fun and being able to, you know, build levels that are engaging and, you know, all of that good stuff.
yeah, to be able to take it and iterate on it? It's obviously easier to change
Mm-hmm.
a map around
It also
then to put all the pieces, so to speak, on the back end together.
Sure. It also depends what kind of game you're making, because there are some games that have really sophisticated AI, and some of that is probably pretty challenging. And there have been some more challenging aspects to this. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Slice off his head.
Take him out.
But also, he drops this new sweet sword.
Bill Kirkman sword?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I haven't seen the Bill sword yet. The legendary Bill sword there?
Well, Goliath's legendary sword.
I call it the Bill sword. Oh.
Let's pick up all that
I
loot.
see it.
And it is Goliath's Great Kopesh.
The
I
Bill
don't know.
Kirkman sword.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that word.
Bill,
But
it's the Goliath's
I
Great
get some
Kirkman.
vigor. Oh yeah.
That's
Health regen, crit damage, and max damage. Max damage is a good one to have. But yeah, so I'll show you a little bit. You can do a little offense. Ooh! That's a sweet hat.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fast. That's pretty sweet.
Nice
Let's
little
do
checker
Abishai.
effect. What do you got, Abishai?
We don't. I
You took all the good stuff.
Yeah, I know.
But now he gets all the good stuff.
Sorry, Abishai.
Yeah. So this is something I've been dying to know.
All right.
Are there ever any risks when you ship a hardware patch or software patch? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's-
Tell me about that.
There's risks associated with any of it. Specifically, if you're going to be releasing patches, sometimes you'll identify bugs or issues with features, and you fix them. But people are going to have saves in the old version, so you need to make sure that you'll be able to handle those cases as well. And sometimes it's like, oh, okay, I make a new save and it works, but then people go out to play it and it's like, I can't load up my save. And nothing's more frustrating to a player than not being able to.
It's a 20-hour game.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the bigger risks. Obviously, anytime you try to add new features or change things up, like we changed up the front end to make it a little bit faster, you always introduce a lot of risk. And they actually had this cool new...
Yeah, this cool new, like...
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Little camera work.
Uh-huh.
Scott Loving or Dan, one of the two, I think. I don't know who.
I think Dan did it. He's one of our designers. To be honest, I kind of just like to... I don't even care if they see me. I just fight them.
Yeah.
I got enough bread.
You're gonna man it up as Ariella.
Yeah, watch this. Pow.
Boom. Backstab. Done.
Personally, I've never actually really been a stealth gameplay guy.
Really?
I mean,
Some good ones.
Yeah.
Metal Gear, Hitman.
like I like the Batman games.
Batman games are really good too.
I feel like it's a little tedious sometimes. So I like to just do this. Ha ha. On the later levels, it's obviously not so easy.
You're all about the run and gun.
Yeah.
Noise and distraction. Nope, you'll just...
You can actually hide behind some stuff, like right here. I'll be patient this time. And see he's all dizzy, knocked on the ground.
Kapow. On that note of patching and risks, it is a live product too. So is there ever a sense of like urgency, like this needs to be thing? Like how do you know when it's like what? How do you know what to prioritize when there's an audience demand for so many different things?
You're probably first gonna identify what types of things you want to fix. Obviously, if there's like really egregious bugs or anything, you'll want to make sure those are fixed before you send it out. You want to make sure that there's not feature creep. Whenever you have time to do stuff, you might want to throw things in without really thinking what kind of effect it's going to have overall, Like, we're like, oh, it'd be really cool to add this new ability or feature. And if you're not careful, you'll end up putting a lot of stuff in, and it might not work as intended, or it can be a little bit buggy. So we really tried to focus on the... There was a lot of design changes. I know that they improved loot a lot. You don't get as much junk loot, and now treasure chests and like our captains and lieutenants and bosses drop better loot too. So
Nice.
less stuff you don't care about, and more good stuff from the people you would expect good stuff from. I know. And see, I got my Benaiah's sword here. And this is where I like.
Preference sword.
Yeah, I started to have a lot more fun in these levels.
Yeah,
now I
this
have a
is
few
true, too.
guys.
Yeah, this is where a lot of people have said, yeah, this is where the game really seems to pick up.
Yeah.
You have you're about to get your fourth, right? So it's like you have your 4 guys fighting through hordes of guys, taking them out.
Joshua Beam's in a cage right now, I think.
He is.
Yeah, we gotta
You
save him.
Oh wow, and new effects to the arrows.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
That's stuff I need to know about.
All
guys
sorts of
been
new
working on
stuff. Sometimes.
And this is obviously a major content patch, and the audience had a big part in kind of identifying things they'd like to see. Is that a kind of similar system that we expect to see? Is like the audience kind of leads the direction, or do they kind of identify things and then we take a closer eye and see like what can we do here? Or...
Well, we obviously want to listen to everything people that play our game say, because it's really like why we're making this game is for not for us, but for other people to play and enjoy. So yeah, we obviously and really I think a lot of the things we're addressing isn't something that one person said. It was kind of like multiple people in our forums or 2 reviewers have kind of let us know, and we can't make a game that everyone thinks is perfect. That's just people hate on even the best games out there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, obviously, anyone who wants to give us feedback or let us know what they liked and didn't like about the game really helps us define what we're going to work on next.
Just buttery smooth performance.
Yeah.
Look at it, buttery smooth. Tents look way different. Way
Oh
awesome.
man, these guys do a lot of damage. I forgot about them.
Well, take them out.
And I can do a little combo.
So what is kind of your favorite thing that you're seeing that got added here? Like what really excites you? Is it something we already talked about, or is it something else?
I mean, the frame rate improvements, obviously, I think were really important, and I'm pretty satisfied with. I do think a lot of the changes the designers made to address a lot of the issues that people have talked about just from a fun perspective. I think if you played the game before and then you play this patch, like you'll really notice some key differences, and hopefully it'll make your experience a lot more fun. Hopefully you're already having fun. Oh,
Yeah, I really like
Benaiah just died. Yeah,
Those are real nice.
it definitely
Very
has
nice.
bigger impact on the game. Personally, some of the stuff I've worked on, I've tried to improve. You might not notice it really from a player perspective, but our pathing and just optimizing how that works.
And
We
you
were-
guys went through every single level in the game, right? And looked at the collision and the grid and everything and reworked it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, Art had to go through to change lighting and fix some things that were introduced, but yeah, every level was touched. We try not to, like, other than that front end, really change the game as much as improve what we could, because we still like the experience that we're giving to people. But yeah, I was even talking more about kind of the AI behind how they path, and by path, I guess I mean how non-character, non-player controlled people run, like your followers or enemies.
Okay. So how do they do? What'd you change?
What I changed, there's a lot of edge cases that we weren't handling very well. An edge case comes from if you're going to do like ray casting. Essentially, it's easy to ray cast a box, but if that ray hits exactly on an edge, weird stuff happens. It's kind of hard. The math breaks down at that level,
Yeah.
and so it's kind of used in games and software development as like, what are these rare situations that you might not see just QAing, just because you only have a couple people really doing it. But like when you have thousands of people playing your game,
Yeah.
these random rare occurrences will pop up. So there were just some issues where when we started, there's certain levels that have tons of enemies, and
Right.
you could run around and kind of kite them all. And what was happening is we were requesting paths too much, which was starting to bottleneck where, if you have 80 people trying to request 3 paths a second, that
can
can
eat you up.
Even from a non-math perspective, that sounds pretty high,
So what is the math there? Is that like an if the number of paths being requested is over a certain amount, you deny the pass? Like, how do you solve that edge case?
So one is, if you watch right here, see if any guys chase me. These are all range guys, so they're not really going to chase me. But when they chase you, they have your position, and for a path service, they'll say like, hey, give me a path, and that uses A* or jump point search to say, okay, here's a way you can get from where I am to where you want to go. But if you are moving constantly as the player, your position is constantly moving.
Right.
And so we had them kind of continually just asking for a new path. But now we handle it a little smarter where only, if you're heading in the same direction that you're going to, like, you don't really need a path right away. You can kind of, we delay it by a few seconds now. And you can't really notice from a player's perspective, but if you are profiling the CPU, you'll see big improvements. As well as there are some cases where we have some arena events where gates go up and they lock you in. In those situations, people on the outside were like trying to get in to attack you, but they couldn't.
Right.
And instead of handling that in a smooth way, we kind of just let them request new paths, and so our path requests were piling up pretty big.
So they're outside and they're constantly trying to path to you.
So now if they're like, oh hey, I can't reach you, I'm not going to keep trying to run to you, And so that was one edge case. There was a few others.
Pretty smart behavioral fix.
Yeah, and I think, we would like to even improve our AI and stuff more
But
when we got the time.
I think you were explaining this to me. AI is not really intelligence, it's just behavior patterns, right? I mean, it's...
Yeah, I don't know if maybe that was Bill that said that. Sounds like something Bill would say.
Could have been an article I read. I'm gonna go with an article I read.
Sure.
That sounds smart.
And yeah, I mean, like, I guess when you talk about like computer science AI, you're talking more about machine learning and that sort of thing, where games is kind of like fake it till you make it. If they seem like they're like being smart, that's the kind of AI in games. I mean, machine learning is not going to fit in a game, know. And maybe some cool people have experimented with it, but from my perspective, like, that's just doesn't make a lot of sense. But yeah, so a lot of it is like a logical tree almost, or a behavior tree where, for instance, enemies need to target people, so like how are they going to target your units, and there's a couple ways we can play with that. If you deal damage to them, you kind of increase the chance that you'll be targeted. If you're the main player, they'll target you more often because it's a little more fun to have people fighting you.
Usually.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a tree structure that uses logical aspects to move through it, I guess. I don't know if that answered your question at all.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's like
oh man.
And since that's
These
how
guys are crazy.
their programming works, it's easier to manipulate it and not get to a situation where you're like, hey, what'd you do? It's like, hey, we can make tweaks without completely screwing up the balance of the game.
Yeah. That's fair. I like this ability for Abishai.
Yeah.
I could do it. I'm out of stamina.
You're in trouble. You're
It's
in
alright.
a lot of trouble. So with this, I know that pretty much the entire team is in QA. Is that pretty common for a patch of this magnitude to kind of recruit everyone? Be like, hey.
It depends on the size of your studio. Obviously, we're a smaller studio,
right.
So we all help we can get. And really, it's more just like, we have great QA people, but if you keep playing the game over and over again, you kind of lose sight of some things that someone who just jumps in and plays for the first time might see. So kind of by having everyone play the game, it gives other perspectives on things. And we've even had some comments of one artist was like, I don't like these bosses, because of these reasons. And then it kind of brings up conversations that hadn't been occurring yet. Maybe somebody else was like, no, I love those bosses. And then you can kind of pick the minds of both people and see,
what is the tweak here?
I also
Is
like
there a
this
tweak
ability,
here?
just to be fair. That's one of my favorite abilities. Oh, but it missed. Yeah, I kick some.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Sorry. A lot of people like Joshua Beam a lot. I'm kind of a Benaya and Abishai guy myself.
Yeah,
But
I like
you do a
Josh.
little,
I
a
like
little
Shamma, but I'm
fun
all about
trick.
The
Get out there.
AoE, so.
Yeah. He's got that ability, and then you can switch to Elazar and do his stun.
Bam.
Yeah. For some encounters, it's a pretty good combo. It doesn't work against bosses, though.
So yeah, big things happen. Next week, new website.
Oh.
Yeah, new
Wow.
patch.
When is the patch? Have we released when it's coming out?
Next week.
Next week?
Next week.
Hopefully early next week.
Yeah, that's
Depends how it goes.
depends on how quality it is and when
Yeah.
it's ready. It's going to be ready next week, but we just want to make sure everything is polished and clean and nice. As you know, I'm really,
Of course.
really like the lighting improvements.
Yeah, it's fun.
Wow.
Like, I think partially just having a better frame rate, it's going to improve everything no matter what.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Just buttery smooth performance. Whoosh.
Gotta kill this guy.
VFX, as I call them.
That guy does a lot of damage. You gotta kill him first.
Done. Just done. Bill
That's-
Kirkman sort of doom.
Well, I'm Eleazar right now. He's just got
He's
a
just got a gold sword.
Eleazar sword, but I do got a sweet shield.
Nice.
Up my armor and evasion. Not bad.
Of course, we are Kingdom Games in Austin, Texas. On all social media, we are Kingdom Games ATX on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitch, and all that good stuff. The game is 5 Guardians of David. This is the patch name TBD. We don't have a formal patch name yet, but we'll have an amazing patch name.
Patch of awesomeness.
That's
No?
the unofficial
That's
internal
the
use.
in
Patch of
studio,
Awesome. That's the
yeah.
in studio, but we're gonna come up with an even better, more awesomer name.
Oh, even
Ideally.
more awesome.
Yeah. Gonna come out early next week. Obviously, it's a patch free to all current owners and totally worth checking out. If you already played the game and you just want to get back and see some cool stuff, definitely worth going through, checking out some levels, checking out some improved frame rates, replaying. With that, I will give you the last word, Brandon. Anything you? All right, let's go with.
Word. Is that
What are you
buzzword?
playing lately?
What am I playing? Yeah, I picked up Mario and Luigi Paper Jam.
Yes, we were
That's
talking
pretty
about
fun.
that last
Yeah,
time.
and
Is it living up to all expectations?
I do like it a lot. It kind of has some mixed reviews. I think if you've played those games before, you'll love it. The story's not as good as the other ones, but the mechanics are probably the best it's ever been.
It's tough.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
also the new Fire Emblem's coming out tomorrow. Pretty
Yes,
excited about that.
That's trending all over up and down Twitter.
Always playing a little bit of Smash Bros. The usual. Throw in.
Nintendo guy. Huh?
Well, kind of. I would say I throw in some TF2 or Diablo in there. Kind of like all games, Maybe some Puzzle Quest every now and then on my
Not allowed
phone.
to like all games.
Oh, no. So,
Puzzle Quest.
yeah. They
Wow.
Have you ever played Puzzle Quest?
I believe I have.
They're pretty fun, actually. I was playing the one on the phone though. It's with Marvel superheroes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was trying to think, is that the same title? Yeah, it's pretty good.
I used to play it a lot, and I actually hadn't played it for probably like half a year or so. And then the other day, I decided to pull up my my account and play some more. Yeah.
Get the addiction back.
I don't know. Probably shouldn't have done that, but
Hey, you
I
got
did.
it. All right, thank you guys for watching. We'll be back next week with. Next week is Mike.
Mike, nice.
Yeah, Mike will be playing Oddworld, going back to his old stomping grounds.
That's the
Have
first
Mike-
game you worked on, I think.
Yeah,
That's
I think
awesome.
so too. So we'll be pulling back to Mike.
Nice.
All right, thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
We will.